that we've got to look at our lives, and at some point we have to look at our finances. We have to look at our relationships, that we have to look at our health, that we have to look at our goals and our dreams and the things that we haven't yet to accomplish, and we have to say to ourselves that enough is enough. Something has to change. Today, I declare my independence from this struggle, going to this job that I know that I can no longer do. Today, I declare my independence from this battle with gaining weight and losing weight and gaining weight, and for some reason, I haven't been able to keep this weight off. Today, you declare, I'm going to lose this weight once and once for all. Today, you declare your independence, that I'm sick and tired of having these toxic relationships. I'm sick and tired of not accomplishing my goals and my dreams, that at some point, we all have to get to the place where we say to ourselves that enough is enough. Yeah. That I'm going to declare my independence. That I can't take this anymore. And so that's what we celebrate right now. There's a group of people who got together, and they looked at the circumstances, and they thought about what they were being subjected to. And they realized that it wasn't enough. They realized that there could be more. And so at some point, we all have to look at our own lives. We have to say to ourselves that there can be more. There can be more when it comes to my finances. That there can be more when it comes to my health. That there can be more when it comes to my relationships. That there can be more when it comes to my goals and my dreams. That today, I declare my independence. And so what I ask you to do today as you listen to this message is I want you to look at your life, and I want you to think about what area in your life that you need to declare some level of declaration from. What area in your life, or maybe perhaps you've got to declare yourself free of some negative and some toxic relationships, some people around you who instead of building you up are pulling you down. That maybe today is the day that you declare your independence from a job in which you know that you're working just hard enough so they don't fire you, and they're paying you just enough so you don't quit. That maybe today is the day that you declare your independence from this toxic relationship, this thing that you've been involved in that you know that you need to be set free. And I'm not talking about a marriage. I'm talking about the people in your inner circle. I'm talking about the people who aren't building up your dreams. Maybe today is the day that you declare your independence and you say, I'm sick and tired of being on this roller coaster. I want you to think about what that thing is for you. Yeah. Nobody can tell you what it is. Only you know. But you've got to get to the point where you say to yourself that I'm going to declare my independence. I remember a time where I had to declare my independence. I remember having to make that decision, and it's not an easy decision. I remember it was back in 2004, and I was working what most people would consider a pretty good career. And even though I was working in the field in which I had studied for in college, I got my degree in accounting. I got my master's degree in corporate accounting. I prepared, I studied for the CPA exam, and now I was working for one of the largest professional service firms in the world. And yet and still, there's this conversation going on in my mind that said, enough is enough, Andy. Yeah. You got to declare your independence. Yeah, you've put in a lot of time at school studying this thing called accounting. Yeah, that you stayed a little longer. You got your master's degree. Yeah, you put in all this time and this effort and studying and preparing for the CPA exam. And now you've got the CPA license. And now you're working for this amazing company, this global international company. But enough is enough. Why? Because you know in your heart that this is not what you've been called to do. Enough is enough, Andy. Why? Because you know that this is just allowing you to make a living. And you know that there's something in you that requires you to live your making, and this is not it. Andy, enough is enough. You can't just stay here because of the amount of time that you have invested in getting your degrees, the amount of time that you have invested in this particular company. At some point, you have to make the decision. And so I know it's not easy. It's not easy when you been working on this job and you've been receiving this paycheck week after week and you've gotten comfortable. And even though you know that there's no more growth, even though you know that it's not what you've been called to do, I know that it's hard to walk away. I know that it's hard to get back out there in the job market. And even if you're that person, I know it's hard that when you say to yourself that I want to start this business, and you're thinking to yourself that I don't know if I have the resources, I don't know if I have what it takes, I don't know if this thing is going to work out. I know it's hard when you have to break the bonds of people who've been around your life for so long, and even though you know they're toxic, even though you know they're pulling you down, even though you know that they're pulling away from your dreams and that you should be walking away, I know it's hard because they've been in your life for years. And even though you know they're negative, there's something that attracts you to them because they've been around for so long. I know it's hard, but at some point you have to do like our forefathers did, and at some point you have to say to yourself that enough is enough. And when you decide to declare your independence, when you decide that you're going to walk away from this job that you know is no longer serving you, when you decide that you're going to go back and get a new degree, when you decide that you're going to go ahead and start this business, when you decide that you're going to finally lose this weight once and once for all, when you decide that you're going to take your spirit back, when you decide that you're going to grab control of your marriage and make it work, when you decide that you're going to do something and accomplish your goals and your dreams, that when you decide that you're going to declare your independence, recognize this. It's going to be a fight. Yeah. See, nobody's going to hand you your independence. Nobody's going to hand you your goals and your dreams. Nobody's going to hand you a perfect marriage. Nobody's going to hand you good health. Nobody's going to hand you a successful business. Nobody's going to hand you this thing that you want to do. Once you decide that you're going to declare your independence, that you've got to say to yourself that I'm ready to fight. And you understand that a major part of the fight, there's some people who aren't going to want to see you go. And you're going to have to put up a fight. Even when they try to pull you back, you're going to have to fight and say, let me go. This is something that I've got to do. That you're going to have to put up a fight, even though maybe your finances aren't exactly where you want them to be, that you're going to have to say, let me figure this thing out. I'm going to find the resources. I'm going to find a way to make this thing work. That even though you may not have all the contacts, all the people, you say, I'm going to fight. I'm going to figure this thing out. I remember when I made the decision and I had to walk away from that paycheck coming into my bank account every 2 weeks. And I had to walk away from having put in all that time in getting my degree in accounting, my master's in accounting, and studying and preparing for the CPA exam. And then when I first started and I finally built the courage to leave the company, and one of my very first investments, I lost 80% of all the money that I had to save up. Realize this, I had to fight. I had to fight in order not to go back and ask for my job back. I had to fight to override that conversation that was going on in my mind that was saying, Andy, maybe you made the wrong decision. Andy, maybe you don't have what it takes. Andy, maybe they were right. Why did you walk away from your career? I had to fight. I had to fight for that conversation that was going on in my mind. There's an old African proverb. It says, if there's no enemy within, then the enemy outside can do us no harm. Why? Because the biggest fight that you have to encounter is going to take place in your mind. It's that conversation that tells you that it's too late for you to start over. It's too late for you to go back to school. It's too late for you to try to start that business. It's that fight of trying to grab hold of that conversation that says that maybe I should give up on this dream of becoming a speaker. Maybe I should give up on this dream of writing this book. Maybe I should give up on this dream of finally starting this business and making it succeed. It's the fight that you have to endure when you know that you know that this person that you've been arguing with, that now it seems like you're strangers, that you said, I want to spend the rest of my life with, that you know that somewhere inside that you both still love each other, but now you're in the house acting like strangers. It's the fight of saying that I'm going to hold this marriage together. It's the fight when the doctors come in and said that, sorry, the test results didn't look right. And they're telling you that we don't know how much longer you have to live. It's that fight where you say that I don't care what the doctors told me, that I have a family, I have friends, I have people that are counting on me. I'm going to fight in order to hold on to my health. I'm going to fight in order to keep pushing forward. It's a fight that no one is going to hand you your independence. No. You're going to have to fight for it. Yeah. You have to fight. And so the freedom that we enjoy right now, the freedom of liberty, the freedom of speech, the freedom of self-expression, the freedom to bear arms, the freedom of free enterprise. Somebody had to fight. Somebody had to put up a struggle. And so as you declare your independence from whatever it is that you're facing right now in your life, recognize that you're going to have to fight. And not only are you going to have to make the mental decision and declare to yourself that I'm going to declare independence from this financial situation. I'm declaring independence from this toxic relationship. I'm declaring independence from being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm declaring independence of falling short on my goals and my dreams. And once you say to yourself that I am going to fight, here's what you've got to recognize, that you're going to have to pay a cost. Yeah. It's going to cost you something. But here's what they don't tell you. When you declare your independence, it's going to cost you something one way or the other. Whether you choose to act on your independence, it's going to cost you something. Or if you decide to keep the course and keep fighting, it's going to cost you something. You see, if you don't decide this day to declare your independence, it's going to cost you. What is it going to cost you? It's going to cost you your marriage. It's going to cost you your goals and your dreams. It's going to cost you your financial freedom. It's going to cost you your health. It's going to cost you your happiness. That's what happens if you don't decide to declare and begin to fight and keep the course. Let me tell you something. If you decide to keep the course and you're willing to fight, it's also going to cost you. It's going to cost you being comfortable. Yeah, you're going to have to step outside of your comfort zone. It's going to cost you some relationships. Yeah, when you decide to move forward and push forward and accomplish some goals and some dreams and take your business to the next level and do something new with your life, there's some people, they won't be able to go with you. There's some people who won't understand. There's some people who are toxic. You're going to have to eliminate them. It's going to cost you some time when you're pursuing your goals and your dreams, when you're trying to make some things happen. You're no longer to be able to lay down in your bed and get 12 hours sleep, 13 hours sleep. No, you're going to have to give up some time. Some recreational time. You can't sit in front of the television and watch your favorite shows all the time. It's going to cost you something. It's going to cost. Many of the things that maybe you enjoy right now. And so I know when I had to make that decision that it cost me. It cost me that thought of security. That paycheck hitting my bank account. It cost me some relationships. There's some people who didn't understand what I was doing, and I understood that I couldn't hold them around in my inner circle. They were too toxic. They didn't get the big picture. They weren't going in the same direction as I was going. It cost me some days of frustration trying to figure it out, trying to to talk myself and say, Andy, you can make this thing happen. Andy, this is just a momentary setback. Willie Jolly said that a setback is a setup for a comeback. It cost me. I had to say to myself, Andy, this is a momentary breakdown. Every breakdown prepares you for your breakthrough. It cost me something. I said, Andy, remember Winston Churchill said, when you're going through hell, keep going. You've got to be willing to pay the cost. And so it's going to cost you. Make no mistake about it. But here's the last thing. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. We know that right now. For those of us who live in the United States of America, we know for all those who went into battle, for all those who sat down and signed that Declaration of Independence, for all those who are willing to fight, for those who are willing to pick up their firearms and go into the midst of the fight and take bullets, and many of which had to sacrifice their lives, for all those who gave up their nights of sleep, for those who lost their brother, their sister, their mother, their aunt, their grandson, their grandmother, grandfather, for those long, long memorials, name after name, date after date, that we understand that it's worth it. Why? Because we live in a country where we have our freedom. It's worth it. Why? Because we live in a country where we can go from laying down on the street homeless to becoming a multimillionaire. It's worth it. Why? Because we have the ability to gather together and express our voice. It's worth it. Why? Because this is the land of free enterprise. It's worth it. Why? Because this is a place where you can go from rags to riches, that you can pursue your goals and your dreams, that you can make some things happen. And so as I look back at my decision, it was worth it. Because this voice that you hear right now, you wouldn't hear it if I wasn't willing to declare my independence back in 2004. And so here's what I say to you, that right now it's worth it. It's worth it for you to pursue your goals and your dreams. It's worth it for you in order for you to be able to write this book. It's worth it for you to be able to finally accomplish this thing of starting your own business. It's worth it for you in order to fight this disease and be able to see your grandchildren and be able to live another day and be able to be around your family and say that I'm not going to allow this thing to take me out. It's worth it because you say to yourself that my time is not over yet, that maybe perhaps I haven't done what I want to do, but tomorrow is a new day. Today is my Independence Day. Today I declare that I'm willing to separate myself from those things that oppress me, those things that kept me playing it small, those things that kept me at a job in which I knew that something inside me was saying that there's got to be more. It's worth it because I know that as long as I'm still here, that God still has a plan for my life. It's worth it. Because I understand that he said that eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered into the hearts of man the things that God has in store for me. It's worth it. Because he said, for I know the plans that I have for you, a plan for good and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. It's worth it. Because I know that there's something in me. And so today is the day you declare your independence. And so I don't know what that thing is. Only you know. So take this time right now. Think about, well, what's that thing that you're going to declare your independence from? Realize that once you make that decision, that you're going to have to put up a fight, that you are going to have to fight. That at times it's going to be difficult. At times, you're going to want to turn back. At times, you're going to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? It was so much easier before. Why am I trying to make this business work? Why am I trying to write this book? Why am I trying to make this marriage work? Why am I trying to make this thing work? Why? Then you're going to have to fight. And it's going to cost you something. But regardless, if you decide to fight, it's going to cost you something. But know that it's worth it. It's so worth it. To not have to look back and say, what if? It's worth it. To know that this thing that was in you, that you were willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. It's worth it. To know that you're doing that thing that you've been called to do. And so today is your Independence Day. This has been Andy Henriquez reminding you to always show up for your life. Because if you don't, ladies and gentlemen, no one else will.